everyone, and welcome to Nefarion, the boss fight. For those of you who've actually cared enough to watch, or just don't know what to expect going into Nefarion, I'm no expert, though I am, I guess what you call a veteran of this fight. But there's 3 phases to this fight. The real memorable one is 1 and 2. 3 is just kind of a, well, let's get into it. Phase 1 is a hell of a lot of ads coming out of 2 doors. I'm on the, technically I guess this is the north side door. You have to have 2 groups of melee on either side. We usually have the healers and the rogues, or the mages and the hunters, not rogues. Rogues are with the melee. In the middle, so you can have heals on either side. And just, you know, they can switch depending on which side's getting it worse. This goes on until, well, they're all dead. And if you have DBM, it even counts down how many more until the next phase on deadly boss mods. Now, as you might have saw, I think Diana got hit with mind control there. Also, Nefarion runs around and shadow bolts people, hence why I had Shadow Protection Potion. It's not really needed, but it does make your healers' lives easier, and it does absorb some of the Shadow Flame, assuming it stays long enough, meaning he doesn't randomly target you. So it is nice. The only real thing to worry about here is if you just go ham on something right out of the gate and your tank hasn't had a chance to get it, you can die as DPS. So don't go completely balls out as soon as something exits the door. Unless you see your tank's got it, in which case, go according to the needs or the ability of your tank. I'm kind of going ham, but not quite all the way ham, but yeah. This is not a difficult fight. As for Phase 2, that's when the fight gets interesting. It's when you actually fight Nefarion himself. But, yeah, Phase 1's almost over. We got, how many, 6 kills remaining? So, about 3 on each side, give or take. 5 kills. As a Fury Warrior, all you're really doing is just smacking things the entire time. Now, some guilds in Phase 3 have different ways of doing this, so I'm just going to tell you the way we do it, and you'll probably go, oh, so that's why you were lazy. And yeah, I did have a little bit of lag spike here and there, and it pissed me off, so I wasn't too happy with that. But, that was a really laggy night for the server anyway. I'm not really sure why, but it was. Anyway, Phase 2 starts right about now. He breathes Shadow Flame on us. If you don't have your Nyxia Scale Cloak, you die instantly. So make sure to have that shit on. Your main tank should be pointing him over the balcony. Just make sure you don't get hit by the tail. That's why I took such a long way around. And as a melee, this is basically a Nyxia, except you don't got to worry about threat near so much. So just kind of go ham until 20%. When 20% happens, well, the things you just killed come back to life and go at you. As you saw, he does have a fear. Your tank either needs to stance that or have a Dwarf Priest. We didn't have a Dwarf Priest, so our tank had to stance that. The only other memorable thing in Phase 2 are the class calls, and each class call has a different thing that Nefarion will do. Warriors, they put you in Berserker stance, and I think they make the modifier 30% more damage taken. As a DPS warrior, I don't even notice this, but it's mostly for the tank and the healers, because tank can't be in defensive stance, and the healers got to heal more. Paladins spam Blessing of Protection on Nefarion, and they did it at a very poor time this time. They quite literally did it at 20% after I popped Death Wish and Recklessness, and it ruined my day. But it's not usually too bad. The healers just, the range, the casters just kind of have to make sure they don't over aggro. Mages start polymorphing people at random. Warlocks inadvertently summon Infernals. That's the range DPS have to AoE down. It's not very difficult. Shamans drop Wind Fury totems, and everybody has to make sure to focus those totems down very quickly. You don't want Nefarion getting Wind Fury. Priests, their direct heals end up doing damage, instead stacking a stacking debuff that does damage. I think you can still use Renew and Shield, but that's it. Druids are forced into cat form. Not that bad. And rogues are teleported directly in front of Nefarion, where the tank should go directly through Nefarion and turn him around in a 180 so that the rogues don't all fucking die. Did I miss anybody? I feel like I'm missing somebody. But that's basically phase 2. Just keep on swinging, shoot through that massive health bar until you get to phase 3. And phase 3 is more the same as phase 2, except those things I told you about before, things we killed earlier, well, they come back to life. And the way our guild deals with it is mages have limited invulnerability potions, and this was a bit of a shit show, I'll just tell you. This was not our cleanest Nefarion attempt, but damn was it funny at the times. This was a polymorph, because some mages didn't get out of line of sight. Mages got out of line of sight, so they don't start polymorphing everyone, they end up polymorphing each other. But some of them didn't get out of line of sight in time, so the main tank got polymorphed, and someone else had to grab it. So, beyond that, make sure you time there's the skeletons coming by. We let the mages deal with it. They pop a limited invulnerability potion and start going ham on AoE. So, us melee were told, just stay on the Nefarion, beat the hell out of him, kill him quick. As you see, he's immune. Right after I popped Death Wish and Recklessness. I've never been more frustrated or flustered in my life. Now, you might argue, well, why weren't you killing the skeletons? Skeletons were already dead behind me, dude. Couldn't really do much at that point. So the rogues get teleported in front of him. This is, there's Jolly taking him back around. And, Jolly died. I don't remember Jolly dying. Oh, wait, no, I remember. This was kind of a shit show. This is what I was talking about. I don't remember how Jolly died, but Jolly died. And, it's kind of fun. Because, you know, the clean fights are just boring, you know. That's just the way it is. So, yeah, just try not to be where I was there by her tail. You gotta try and stay away from her tail. It's kind of hard when she's turning all around, but she was close enough to death. We got it anyway, but yeah. Not very good loot. We got a chest piece of might, or breastplate of might, which I liked, and the head, which is all I could use. I didn't get either one, but that's not the point of this. It was a fun fight, and that is Nefarion, the final boss of Blackwing Lair. I will see you next time, everyone. Until then.